There's an X here before the name. And then the name Yeshua, then the father's name is perfectly clear, Yehoseph, the son of Joseph. I have no real doubt that this is to be read Yeshua, and then Yeshua bar Yehoseph, that is Jesus, son of Joseph.
Jesus, son of Joseph. Professor Cross's examination of the photograph has now shown us exactly what to look for on the actual coffin.
Yud Vav Shin Ayin.
Yud, Shin, Vav, Ayin, Jesus. Bet, Resh, son of. Yud, He, Vav, Samach, Pei, Joseph.
Jesus, son of Joseph.
It's quite amazing, huh?
Amazing is not the word for it.
Can this stone coffin be linked to Jesus of Nazareth? To answer that question, we have to examine all the archaeological evidence uncovered in this family tomb. Does it fit with Christian tradition? Does it challenge certain articles of faith?
If the bones of Jesus were to be found in an ossuary in Jerusalem tomorrow, and without doubt, let's say they are definitely agreed to be the bones of Jesus, would that destroy Christian faith? It certainly would not destroy my Christian faith. I leave what happens to bodies up to God.
It seems that Christians can accept the possibility that the remains of Jesus were transferred to a family tomb. Thereafter, he could have risen and appeared to his followers as the Gospels report. According to Christian faith, Jesus then ascended to heaven. In theory, the ascension could have been spiritual, leaving his body behind. In fact, those who take a strictly historical approach to the Gospels would expect to find Jesus' remains in his family tomb.
When he's first buried, it's in a temporary tomb. And later, unless he somehow magically disappears and goes to heaven, which is a position of Christian faith, but if you're going to be historical and realistic, he was would be put in a permanent place of burial as a good Jew. Okay? Well, the tomb, you have to have a family tomb.
The family tomb of Jesus. If the ossuary found in the Talpiot tomb, marked Jesus, son of Joseph, did at one time contain the mortal remains of Jesus, then all the ossuaries in that tomb would have to belong to members of the Jesus family. On the other 5 ossuaries reported to have inscriptions, we should only expect to find names from the family tree of Jesus. Jesus was the son of Mary and Joseph. But what many people don't know is that according to Christian tradition, he had 2 sisters, Miriam and Salome. And the Gospel of Matthew tells us he had 4 brothers, Simon, Judah, James, and Joseph. His adoptive father, Joseph, was descended from King David. But Joseph most likely died in Nazareth and would have been buried there, not in Jerusalem. Jesus' mother Mary, Maria in antiquity, was also of Davidic descent. But unlike Joseph, according to later Christian tradition, she died in Jerusalem. And within the same tomb as Jesus, son of Joseph, a second name was discovered.
First of all, it's an ossuary found in Jerusalem.
The ossuary is now housed in the basement of the Israel Museum.
As you can see, the script is very simple. The Hebrew letters that create this name are Mem. Mem is for M. Resh, like R. Yud can be I or Y. And Hey in Hebrew, it's like H in Latin, English. That makes Maria.
Maria.
Yeah. And it's one of the rare examples of that name on ossuary in Israel.
Maria, Mary, found in the same family tomb as Jesus, son of Joseph. Could this be the Virgin Mary's ossuary? Throughout history, from the first Greek writings of Mark, the earliest gospel, the Virgin Mary's name has come down to us in one form: Maria. It is a Latinized version of the Hebrew, Miriam. After Jesus' death, Mary continued with his teachings and must have gathered a large following. In those times of religious transition, Roman converts also began to follow Jesus, and so as her popularity grew amongst his followers, Mary's name was Latinized. That is why the New Testament records her name as Maria. Written in Hebrew, the name Maria is very rare, but it's exactly what was found on the ossuary in the Talpiot tomb. If in 1980, archaeologists had considered, even for a moment, that they had discovered the ossuary of the Virgin Mary, what other family members might they have expected to find next to her?
Look, Matthew. Look here. M-T-Yud-Hey, so Matya.
Matya, which is a short form, a nickname if you wish, of Matithya or Matityahu, which is where we in English got the name Matthew.
Matthew. The name, at first, doesn't seem to fit with the Jesus family. The New Testament is made up of the writings of 4 Gospels, attributed to Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Matthew, the evangelist, was a disciple of Jesus, but scholars don't believe he was a blood member of his family. However, there is reason to believe that there were many Matthews within the Jesus family.
I'll tell you something very interesting. There are 2 genealogies of Jesus. Everybody reads the formal genealogy of Joseph, his adoptive father. It's basically all the kings of Israel and on down. Well-known, great historic names. But the other genealogy is embedded in Luke. People don't notice it much. It's Luke chapter 3. You got to turn a few pages. It's Mary's genealogy, the mother. And in her genealogy, guess what? You have 5, 6, 7, 8 Matthews. Matthias. It's a Maccabean, Hashmonean name. It's a fierce name of a sort of a kingly family. It's a priestly name. Remember, Mary is related to Elizabeth, the mother of John the Baptist, who's a priest. So she's got some priestly connections there, as well as Judah, which is the tribe of the Davidic Messiah. So I don't think it's odd that we would have a Matthew in this tomb at all. In fact, it's sort of one more congruence and fitting together.
In fact, unlike Matthew, many biblical names like Isaac or Jonah would have virtually disqualified the tomb as the Jesus family tomb, because they do not appear anywhere in Jesus' genealogy.
There isn't a single name that doesn't fit the gospel story. Each name in the same tomb connects. Every single one of these names is gospel related. There isn't like any name like Daniel or something else. It just doesn't fit.
On 3 ossuaries, 4 names had been uncovered: Joseph, Jesus, Mary, and Matthew. And then on an ossuary found deep within the tomb, another name was discovered.
This inscription says Yosa, with a hey in the end. It's a diminutive of Yosef. There is no question about it. As an ossuary inscription, this would probably be quite unusual.